Right, Kay, thank you for coming along this afternoon to talk to us about your earliest memories of Sunday as well. Can you tell us when you joined or what are your memories, please?
Well, Ken joined in the mid-60s and I came along to look at the place from outside. You sat outside and got your drink out the window of the hall. And it was very quiet in those days. There was really nobody playing tennis at all in the club. Everybody seemed to be in Rushbrook at the time. It was very vibrant. Then they started to take in lady associate members. Ladies would change in the steward's house down at the bottom and might be able to come in and have a drink at that stage, all right. When Ken was captain in 1970, I think it was, the Christmas party were maybe 10 or 12 of us. But around that time, I can't remember, do you know, Kaylin, when the squash courts were built, was it the late 60s, early 70s?
Yeah, sometime.
That was really the saving of the club, so I think everybody owes a great debt to Roger and the committee at that time that had the foresight to see that squash was the game of the time. And it brought all the old tennis players back playing squash, and the club became very vibrant and lively again, which was lovely to see. The thing that I remember about that time was that the ladies got involved around that time of the squash and with the suppers and making cheese and suppers. The kitchen was about the size of a postage stamp, but we cooked and we had great fun. So, I mean, it was lovely to see the club coming alive again in those days, even though the clubhouse itself was practically falling down. But it was a lovely time to be involved, I must admit. I got involved in the committees then here when ladies were allowed to do things like that, and it just got bigger and bigger. I mean, Close Week was done in August, and sometimes you could have 80, 90 couples in the mixed doubles. You know, when you think it's a phenomenal amount, really, for the middle of the summer. But it was drink driving times, which were different. It was easy to get to know people in those days, I think. But we had some very good times, I must admit.
And what about your own role then in the administration of tennis?
Well, at some stage in the 80s, I suppose, somebody asked me would I go on the Munster branch. And I did. I was secretary for a number of years and then president of the Munster branch. And then I was involved with the ILTA, the now Tennis Ireland, and was president of Tennis Ireland in mid-90s, I suppose. So I had a great life out of tennis, really, and I made lots of friends. And I think that looking back, I wouldn't have changed anything. It was lovely to see the club changing and growing to what it is today, really.
So did you travel a lot while you were president?
I did indeed, yeah. There are certain things that you go to, Davis Cups and Federation Cups for the ladies and any other internationals that might be on. During my time of involvement, veterans tennis came on the scene and became very popular. So I had some wonderful times with the Munster veterans and the Irish veterans, and made good friends with people in the LTA and other associations around. So I had a very nice time, I must admit, from my involvement.
I believe you got credit for setting up the veterans tournaments.
Well,
you were a strong supporter.
Well, I was. I felt it brought a lot of good business to the club, really, if you like. Because, I mean, the veterans have the wherewithal to spend. And if we had a veterans weekend here for the interpros or internationals, it was good for the club. The international veterans, there were 4 nations was played from ladies and men's, and they weren't that long started when they came to Sunday as well, because they asked me would I run one in Ireland, and we brought it here. And it was the first one that was run outside the tennis complex, you know, like the tennis village, that type of place. But they were all older. I mean, most of them at the time were probably older than myself. But they loved it, even though it rained for the whole weekend on them. They loved it because it was their first experience of coming back to what they would term an old-fashioned tennis club. And that made a huge impact on them. And I'd say 10, 20 years later, when I used to meet some of them at other tournaments, they would still talk about the weekend and Sunday as well, even though they got saturated. So that speaks for events that we might have remembered or matches that were won. And one, the squash, I must say, was the Canard Cup. It was an All-Ireland Cup. It was a great win for the boys at the time. And one of my particular favourites was the first win of the Munster Cup. I think it might have been in the early 80s. And we came back here to the club delighted with ourselves, and we were sitting in the bar, and I remember Eamon Smith saying, imagine it's the first win of the Munster Cup for Sunday as well. And I remember looking at him saying, Eamon, we had no ladies on Sunday as well, so how could we win the Munster Cup? Because the teams were made up of 3 men and 3 ladies. So for years afterwards, we laughed about that. Another very important and enjoyable weekend was the people to people that came. Heat 3, I think it was. A group of very wealthy Americans who travelled the world playing tennis and hands across the ocean, and friendships made. And I think the Republican Party started it, but they were extremely nice people. They sent on a bump about themselves before they came with little photographs so that we'd know them. And we had a wonderful time with them. Now they came to here from Queens, which is very posh for anybody that might have been there. And at the time the clubhouse was not in a very good state of repair. But they absolutely loved it because it was an old-fashioned club where everybody knew everybody else. And we played and we joked with them, and they really did enjoy the time that they were here. And it was a very special time. And I'm always sad that there's not a photograph. It it's not the club's fault, it's our fault, because I'm not sure we ever took anything formal of the occasion. And the other events would probably be the Interpros and the Internationals that were played here in the Davis Cup. And we had the very first Veterans Interpro because Alan Horton, as you'd see his photograph there, put up the cup and he wanted it here. And it was the start of what is still a very successful event.
Yeah, it's still, I think, the best located tennis club in the country.
It is. We had a lunch, and I was saying for Ken in August, and some of the people that came had never been here. Sure, they didn't even know it was here. They thought it was just so special. So it is really. Provided the club is thriving and people are playing tennis from the cradle to the grave, that's all that matters, really, isn't it?